Look at my height, and you give me 2 minutes. Those with the higher frame, you give them
2 seconds to you. I had 2 seconds. 2 minutes, 2 seconds.
Okay, thank you, sir. With due respect to my brother, who is himself an accountant, Distinguished Senator Dafinone, this bill lacks merit. It does not merit spending precious time of this Senate on it. Mr. President, the best time in Nigeria planning history, when we used to have development plans, they were not done by chartered institute. We can't have a situation where we have 1 million laws adding no value other than creating confusion. Who is a professional planner? An economy planner, a sociologist planner, an electrical planner, a senatorial planner? Which kind of planning? Every aspect of business, depending on the nature of the business, those running the business, what to plan for and what not to plan for. Laws are not motions. Laws are something that somebody can be charged to court on the basis of a law of parliament. So I respect so much Distinguished Senator Dafinone, but I do not believe that we should keep passing laws that will not add value whatsoever. They only create confusion in our courts, and worse, the chief whip who supported were talking about cutting costs. How do you cut costs when you create institutions that will head a happy chairman, vice chairman, all kinds of appointments?
I'm protecting you. Wait, I'm protecting you.
Overhead, valuing up our.
Wait, I'm protecting you. You are being disrupted. I mean, there's it's trying to stop you from speaking. You are a very experienced legislator. You were here since 1992, right? He has a floor, he has my protection. Allow him to finish, then I'll recognize you. You can carry on.
Thank you very much, sir. I will conclude by saying this Senate must be conscious of the fact that our overhead, our recorded expenditure is already extremely high. We should not consciously enact any law that will lead to additional 1 naira being spent avoidably at the expense of capital project. I saw some me, Mr. President. This law does not deserve second reading.
And let me call on
Sir, I'd like to move for the House to please debate the bill for an act to establish the Chartered Institute of Planning of Nigeria and for related matters, 2025. I so move, sir.
You may proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I will proceed with the lead debate. This bill seeks to establish the Chartered Institute of Planning of Nigeria as a statutory professional body responsible for regulating, standardizing, and advancing planning practice across the country. It aims to introduce a unified national framework for professional planning covering economic, infrastructure, environmental, social, corporate, and strategic planning, thereby addressing Nigeria's long-standing institutional and developmental gaps. Mr. President, for decades, Nigeria's development has suffered from policy inconsistency, poor coordination, abandoned projects, weak forecasting, and fragmented planning practices across ministries, departments, and agencies. Successive development frameworks, from Vision 2010 to Vision 2020 and the ERGP, fell short largely because Nigeria lacked a competent institutionalized planning architecture capable of ensuring continuity, coherence, and long-term implementation across political transitions. The CIPN provides the structural remedy to this systemic gap. By becoming chartered, the Institute will further professionalize planning by setting national standards for training, ethics, certification, and continuous development. It will unify planning methodologies across government institutions, build a skilled workforce of certified planners, and institutionalize planning as a central governance process. CIPN will also formalize collaborations already established with bodies such as INEC, local government service commissions, the NUC, and private sector organizations, aligning national planning with global best practices. By strengthening planning capacity, Nigeria will significantly reduce project failures, cost overruns, wasteful spending, and policy reversals. The Institute will also enhance investor confidence through predictable, data-driven planning, thereby stimulating long-term economic stability and competitiveness. The bill carries no financial burden on the federal government. The Institute will self-finance through membership dues, training, professional certifications, research, consultancy, and partnerships. Ultimately, sir, the establishment of the Chartered Institute of Planning of Nigeria will, 1, institutionalize a culture of strategic, evidence-based planning in government. 2, strengthen national development outcomes through continuity and coordination. 3, promote transparency, accountability, and value for money in public projects. 4, create career pathways for young professionals into a multidisciplinary planning profession. And 5, enhance Nigeria's global standing through adherence to international planning standards. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill presents a transformative step towards modernizing governance and securing Nigeria's long-term development trajectory. Its passage will provide Nigeria with the professional backbone required to plan effectively, execute efficiently, and grow sustainably. Thank you, Mr. President.
The Chief Whip of the Senate.
Thank you, Borno North Senatorial District. Mr. President, distinguished senators, this bill is apt and germane, especially looking against the background of one of the problems that constitutes a cog in the wheel of our developmental aspirations. That is the issue of policy somersault that has occasioned our developmental plans. So essentially what this bill seeks to do is to have an institute that will have the responsibility of training core professionals, identifying and training core professionals with planning bias with a view to guiding our developmental aspirations and then insulate our developmental aspirations from the issue of policy somersault and also stamp out quackery in the practice of planning. And one of the things is that it will have no cost to government, especially when we are now trying to reduce the cost of government with a view to releasing resources for a much needed infrastructural development. So against this background, I support the second reading of this bill and urge my colleagues to support it with the spirit of light. Thank you.
You are well experienced. In fact, you were chief whip. And we call you chief emeritus, except you want us to take away that designation on you.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I remain Senator Joel Onuabo Thomas, representing the good people of Delta South Senatorial District. Mr. President, I want to thank you for protecting me and allowing me to speak. I'm going to speak directly on the issue of the Institute.
Everywhere in the world, there are planning standards. And the Chartered Institute of Planning of Nigeria does not in any way prevent any other body from carrying out planning activities. But what I want to say here is that in planning, there must be standards. And this institute will provide the standard like every other chartered institute in this country, like the Chartered Institute of Taxation, Institute of Bankers, Nigerian Institute of Bankers, and the rest. So a planning institute is needed to standardize who practice in those areas. And Mr. President, I want to say that this institute, Chartered Institute, it is at no cost to government or to public funds. It has no cost absolutely to government. It is a group of professionals who have trained abroad to bring back their experience to the country to provide a standardized process for planning in the country. And it's an association of voluntary entrance and voluntary exit. If you want to be a planner in this country, you can join. If you don't want to be a planner in this country, nobody's forcing you to be a planner. So, sir, I want to say that the institute has existed without a legal backing for the last 15 years. Group of professionals, they just need a legal backing to be able to carry on their activities. Mr. President, thank you for giving the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Senator Joel Thomas, for your elaborate and well-laid defense for the bill. I now call on Chief Whip Emeritus, former governor of Abia State, two-time governor.
For recognizing me in supporting the bill presented by Senator Dafinone. I would like to appeal to our colleagues. It will be too premature to kill that bill in floor of this House. I would like to appeal to you, Mr. President, and our colleagues to send this thing for second reading. Let the committee look into it. As we are sitting here today, it might be very difficult for us to decide the rightness of this bill or the fault of this bill. It will be very good to send it to committee, have second reading, and direct it to committee. They will have a public hearing. If it's good for the Senate to listen to a second time, we will listen to it. So I think that I support this bill, and I ask my colleagues to allow it to go for second reading. Those that oppose to it are not being fair to Senator Dafinone. Thank you, Mr. President.
The words of elders.
Presenting the good and the bad people of Plateau South. I stand to support my good friend, Dafinone. Mr. President, although I always frown at proliferation of agencies, but there are some agencies that are necessary to go with the tide, with the developments and the tide. Today, we're in the age of computers, in the age of technology. We are talking of people who know technology, not some Senator Oshiomhole, who is not computer compliant.
Are you saying it's analog?
I am supporting him because the planning of 20 and 30 years, the planning of 20, Mr. President, the planning of 20 and 30 years is not the same planning today. Our children are not reading what we left in 20, 30 years.
1 minute, please. Senator Adam Oshiomhole, let me help you. Let me help you. Let me read 52.8. It reads, no senator shall impute improper motives to any other senator. Are you protected? Okay, you can sit down. So he's a former speaker. He knows what I'm talking about.
Thank you, Mr. President. Okay, I will draw that aspect. Also practicing computer. That's all. So, Mr. President, this motion is very, very timely. let us get into the nitty-gritty, because we are moving with technology. And if we talk about technology 20, 30 years ago, we'll never be the same today. We need a different kind of approach. We need expertise. We need a different type of training. And this is what Senator Dafinone is introducing. So I start to support this bill to go into the second reading.
Last but not the least, oh, sorry, my.
I want to emphasize the fact that the most important thing in this new age of development is data. The most important thing about data is data analysis. And the most important thing about data analysis is deploying this analysis to create planning.
Chief, we restore order, please, and silence, please.
Order, please. Order, please. Distinguished Senator Plan.
And like
Distinguished Senator Victor Ume, resume your seats. Chairman Northeast Caucus. Chairman Senate Northeast Caucus, resume your seat. Distinguished Senator Adamu Alero. Distinguished Senator Adamu Alero, resume your seat.
And Your Excellency, if we read through the submission of distinguished Senator Dafinone, which I think is very right, time and time over, we have been duplicating projects. Time and time over, we have been doing our projects almost in a blind manner. So if Dafinone is now emphasizing on the use of data in planning our life, I think we should be very sympathetic. We should be very sympathetic to this motion, and I'm proposing that let us allow it to go for second reading.
Thank you, Deputy Majority Leader. You have the floor. Then I call on.
My name is Senator Kamarudin Olalelo Yewumi. I represent also West Senatorial District of Osun State. Mr. President, I want to lend my voice to support this bill, because the saying goes that if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. And this country, what the bill seeks to achieve is very fundamental. We need a coordinated planning instead of the haphazard one that we're going. State doing its own, the federal government doing its own, private agency doing its own. There must be a body that is responsible for monitoring and coordinating the planning activities in Nigeria. It's going to be for the good of the country. It's not a waste. And the Senator Dafinone that is bringing this one on board is a chartered accountant of repute that have chaired so many multinational and local organizations. They know the essence of planning. Planning with data in a coordinated manner will help the country. So I support the second reading of this bill. Thank you, Mr. President.
It's my professional colleague, but I am an unbiased,
representing Kebbi North, and until very recently the chairman of the Committee on Planning and Economic Affairs. Mr. President, first I would like to congratulate Senator Dafinone for bringing this issue of planning for discussion in this hallowed chamber. I just want to make some clarifications so that we understand the context in which we are talking about. I know what motivated possibly Senator Dafinone to introduce this issue is the decimal position of planning in this country, which is central to any attempt for any country to move forward. Somehow, since we adopted medium-term economic plan, which is a rolling plan of 3 or 4 years each, we adopted the long-term planning, which is vital for any country which wants to plan a future for itself. We should also note that there is an act of the National Assembly that established the National Planning Commission. That act has not been repudiated and it has not been deleted from the statute books of this nation. While I'm not making a plea for this Senate to reject this particular bill, I'm suggesting that when we go to the next stage of committee consideration and public hearing, we should be able to get all the knowledgeable experts, including Nigerian Economic Society, people who are now handling in the office of the National Planning Commission, which is still there statutorily under the Ministry of Planning and Budget and Economic Affairs, and all the professionals who are involved in planning, including some of our partners, like those who have benefited, those countries that have benefited from planning, like China. Those experiences should be garnered. The kind of position that has been advocated here, the second reading did not really encapsulate the major issues that are involved in the necessity of planning. This is not a simple matter. And it is because of this that I'm saying we should go to the next level. But when we go to the next level, these issues and the importance of planning have to come out very clearly so that we know what we are doing, so that by the time the bill of this nature goes to the president, we know exactly what we are talking about. Then we have to consider whether we need to repeal the National Planning Commission Act to replace it with another act, or to subsume this particular organization under the National Planning Commission and then reactivate it so that we can clarify and define what role it should play in our economic affairs. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Senator Mohamed Amalero.
I think Senator Yahabdillahi has captured most of what I want to say. Truly speaking, lack of planning in this country has cost us a lot. It has resulted into abandoning projects that are of great significance to this country. I'll give you an example. Ajayakuta steel plant. It had been planned, properly planned, and it was to be completed within a period of 15 years. And now it's almost 50 years we have not completed it. And there are other similar projects that have been abandoned due to policy inconsistency, policy somersault, and consequently such projects are abandoned. So there is need for this Chartered Institute of Planning. And I will plead that we allow this bill to go for public hearing where all views will be collected. And when it comes back, we will know what to accept and what to reject. I so stand Mr. President.
The last speakers, what they said, but I also want to add that understanding from this elite debate, this Institute of Planning Practitioners is, in addition to issue of planning commission, is like ICANN and CITN. It will also regulate the practice of the practitioners. So
And Anand, you didn't call Anand. You said ICANN.
And Anand, yes. So that is the angle I want to also bring forth. That it is not just a planning commission. It is also a regulatory body that will regulate the activities of the practitioners. And because of this, it is very, very important for us to allow this bill to go for second reading, so that we will have a regulator in the Institute of Planners. I so submit, Mr.
Those
President.
in favor that this bill be read for second time, please say aye. Aye. Senator Adam Oshiomhole, get ready. Those against, say nay. Well, you are not alone, but you don't have the courage to come out to say nay. So thank you for having the courage to say nay. So, but the ayes have it. The clerk of the Senate. For now to establish the Chartered Institute of Planning of Nigeria and for other matters connected therewith, 2025 SB 846 second reading taken. The bill is referred. What order? Order what? You may read. You may proceed.